Hey guys, Jeremy here from Level Up Roadcraft in Katoomba. Today we are driving in fog. I just thought I'd give you a ride along, you know. I've been short on episodes, I'm doing a lot of work. Yeah, thanks for taking my space there, mate. This is something you got to deal with. I'm going down to pick up a new student, and I figured you guys might as well ride along, because a lot of you who don't live in the mountains may not understand when I say that fog can be a bit tricky to drive in, what I actually mean. And yeah, this is what I actually mean. I'll give you the camera off the dash as well. So anyway, why don't you ride along? So when we're driving in things like this, you got to really kind of think a little bit more. You got to be a little bit more ahead. It makes it easier to drive in things like this. Like at the moment, I'm looking all the way up, I'm seeing those brake lights come on around the corner. You remember, you need to control your space, and you can only control the space that you are observing in. And what I mean by that is you need to look as far up the road as possible. So I can see all these brake lights and tail lights clicking on, and well before I get too close, I'm going to start braking as well to maintain this gap I have. It's really important, especially when you get to fog. You can't see very far. So if you're in the habit of driving around in normal, you know, good weather, and you're in the habit of looking as far up the road as possible, when you get to like fog and things like that, you'll be able to see miles up the road without any problem at all. So it's something that we've always got to do. The reason why we're leaving a bit more of a gap, you'll notice that we'll count this off for the people who aren't quite sure how to learn how far you're following somebody. What we do is we pick something on the road that they've crossed, and then we count how many seconds it takes us to catch up to it. So what we'll do is we'll just get up to here. So now we're at speed. Let's count one of these dashes. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1000. We're about 3 and a bit seconds following now. Fog, while you're still learning, probably keep about 4 or 5 seconds of this. I know these roads, I drive them every day, I know them backwards. All I could say is, even knowing everything backwards in this type of weather, I'm still keeping this follow distance. I don't care what anyone else thinks behind me, because you can't get in front of me because I've got people there. So whoever's behind me can just wait and let me have my nice peaceful gap. If you see in front of me the guy's following a little closer than I'm following to the person in front of me, they're following the car in front of them a little closer. And the other thing in fog too is you get a lot of crap on your windshield, so you got to just kind of tap your wipers every once in a while. I think if you have your wipers on too much, it's a bit of an annoying thing. It kind of rubs the rubber out onto the glass, and it gets annoying. It takes more focus away. But driving in this stuff's really just doing the basics, but doing them a lot more sharply. Paying attention to what's going on in each lane. So we've got traffic coming up. I'm still bang on the speed limit, and we're overtaking. I've got a nice following distance gap here. I'm utilizing, you know, all the data I can. Like when you're driving, it's really about making an observation as close as you can to taking action. So what I mean by that is, before you choose to do something, before you jump into action when you're driving, you need to make an observation before you do it to see if that action needs to be modified, or if that action is going to be dangerous, or whatever else. So in this case, as I say, control your space, which means that you must observe your space. If you're looking 5 feet off the end of the bonnet, then that's the only space you can control. If you're looking as far up the road as you can, then you can control that space as well. And the thing is I'm looking all the way up the road to kind of keep an eye on brake lights that may be coming up way up in the fog, which will give me a heads up long before I get to it. And I'm controlling a space that's, you know, probably in the vicinity of about 60, 70 meters in front of the car, just by watching other cars' reactions. See, this blue car in front of us has now gotten into the left-hand lane, because they were following that other car pretty closely, which is good. You know, at least they can't buffer out from the car. Well, they just refuse to, so they're just kind of fixing that up. But you can really see how everything just disappears in fog. Like 1 second we had good 20, 30 meters visibility there, and we're about to rock into when he falls, and we're probably going to be down to about 15 meters visibility. So we've got a good space here where make sure our indicator goes on. We've checked our mirrors, we check our middle mirror, we check our left-hand mirror before we merge lanes, and then we do a head check last second before we move. It's one of those things, if you're driving, always remember, you're going to merge in front of somebody, so you check your rear vision mirror first, right? Let's just say that we've got a silver Subaru back there when we look in the rear vision mirror. That's the closest car to us. If we look in the side mirror and we see that silver Subaru, and we also still see it in the rear vision mirror, we know that it's a couple of seconds behind us and it's safe to merge in front of it. So once we clear off our head check, we can merge in front of that car. If you look in your rear vision mirror and you don't see a car, and then you look in your side mirror and you do see a car, that car's a little close to be merging in front of. I know in Sydney people do it all the time to you, and there is a caveat. If you're going really slow, like crawling in traffic, you can kind of slide into gaps. Also, if the person is observing you and they kind of go, you know, you jump in and they've created a gap for you and they've kind of waved you in, things like that, that's not too bad either. But you really need to be observing what's going on across the mirrors. I gotta stop talking for a second because I gotta keep an eye on this set of traffic lights. See, I know there's traffic lights coming up. You can't see them in this fog, but I know we're gonna go up the hill by about 30, 40 meters and there's a set of traffic lights there. See, I've driven these roads like years and years and I know them backwards. See, now you see the traffic lights and I already knew we were already there. So we need to keep an eye on things. So again, I guess, you know, taking all of that into account, we're only able to go through that yellow light because we're at the intersection as it's turning yellow, and there's another one. You want to avoid going through yellow lights if you can, especially on your Ps. The police love pulling over P-platers who run yellow lights. You ever been pulled over on a yellow light? Comment down below, tell me what happened. So as we're looking further up ahead, so if you don't know where you're, like if you're not familiar with your environment when you're driving, something you may want to do is slow down a little bit more. Like if I didn't know this road, I'd probably be wiping another 5 or 10 kilometers an hour off my speed. If I really didn't know this road, because I know it so well, because I'm using the cars in front of me as indicator of what's going on, because I'm leaving sufficient following distance to the car in front. We've got a nice big gap here. Let's count it off. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1000, about 4.5 seconds follow distance at the moment. So that's just leaving the buffer. And about following distance, as I said, this is just going to be a rambling follow along and have a drive with me. It's kind of like you're a semi-student at the moment. Anyway, you know, when it comes to driving in Sydney, you see people following like this close behind the car in front of them, and if anything goes wrong, you got no outs. You get older people, like, you know, my age and older, so, you know, 40 plus, you'll start to find what they normally say is follow 2 seconds. That I would call 2 seconds the bare minimum. I would always say follow 3 seconds, and I'm not just saying this as a driving instructor to try and look good. I genuinely think you need to follow at about 3 seconds. Just, yeah, we're good, all right. You need to follow at 3 seconds, because what happens if you follow at 3 seconds and someone brakes in front of you is you can take up about a second of that buffer space while you're covering the brake. So if I'm following someone at 3 seconds, they get on the brake, I can come across the brake, just be very gentle with it, and I might take up 1 second of that buffer space, but I'm already on the brake, so I don't need to worry about my reaction time getting my foot off the accelerator and across to the brake. So it's something really important. Always keep that follow distance, always keep the looking up ahead, especially as far ahead as you can possibly think of. Always make sure that if you're in an unfamiliar place, don't try and race around at 100 miles an hour. You know, I know everyone loves burning, and let's face it, driving fast can be fun, but it's also dangerous. If we're going to drive fast, we've got to do it safely, right? And that means not just looking after our safety, that means looking after everyone else's on the road safety. It means looking after pedestrian safety. It means looking after kids' safety. It means looking after drunk people's safety. So realistically, if you're in a built-up area that has driveways, you got to take your time. It's not worth it in the long run. You know, just take your time driving, relax. At the end of the day, you shouldn't be driving any faster than your heart rate can stay calm. So if you find yourself, you know, at the moment now, look, the fog's changed. We're coming down into Bullaborough, so you can see a lot further out. Now we've got a good, you know, 100, 200 meters visibility. That's much better than the 20, 30 meters we had. So I'm going to change over left. We've got that white Subaru there. I can see a rear vision mirror. I can see my side mirror. I head check. Yes, that is the car I'm pulling in front of. We're clear. So we pull across. And then we just kind of roll through Bullaborough. So yeah, look, you know, if you're learning to drive, I know it's great. You know, my first thing is, if you're going to learn how to drive, when you get your L's, I was having this conversation with someone the other day. When you get your L's, and my kids both got their L's, I remember taking them out for their first drives, and it was great fun. And it's a great experience. Being a parent, taking a kid out, you find somewhere really quiet where there's nothing can go wrong and there's no one around, and you just let them kind of get an idea of what a car is. But then, you know, it might be worthwhile giving me a call or buying a gift voucher for somebody so that they can do some lessons with me, because I'm used to driving in fog like this. I'm used to this kind of stuff. I used to do a lot of overnights in the taxis. I've been on motorbikes for years. So what I teach people, what I really want you to get good at, is learning how to observe, learning how to make a decision. So knowing, like, for example, if you pull into an intersection and you have two difficult directions, which one do you look at first? Which one do you look at last, and why? Things like that. Understanding not only the observation, understanding the decision-making process, and then also understanding the process of actually taking action, how to take action, how the vehicle's going to respond to particular things. And then once we kind of have all that in you and you've got all that loaded in, at that point, then you can actually start to go through the peace test. Because the thing is, the peace test is it's like a way of doing something. It's a one-off thing. And you know, the test routes they choose are designed to specifically demonstrate enough skills, but it's not designed to be too hard, because that's a bit unfair for some, you know, for learners getting into their P's, because you're still learning on your P's, you're still learning on your green P's. So ultimately, you could pass the peace test honestly and still be a bad driver. It's not that hard. Oh, that was a good cut off on that person there, Isuzu. But while you've done that, you've blocked them, so I'm going to have a 3-second buffer so I can cross the path there. But anyway, guys, I'm now in Lawson. I've got to get to my next new student, and I'm super excited. He's awesome. He's learning up. He's getting G'd up for his peace test in a couple of weeks. And look, it doesn't matter whether you're young or old. I'm happy to take you. It doesn't matter if you've got 0 hours experience or whether you're at 120 hours. My advice is you kind of want to engage me somewhere at the point of about 30 hours optimally. You know, if you've done 120 and you call me up, that's fine. I'll help you out. But if you're just starting to drive and you're wondering, when do I call my driving instructor? Well, see if mum or dad want to take you out, because it's a nice parenting thing, taking someone for their first drive, and then give me a call. You really want to call me before you've got 30 hours in your logbook, because you could develop a lot of bad habits. Like, your parents have been driving for 20, 30 years. They live with their bad habits. They might be safe driving like that, or they just may not care. I don't know, who knows? Case by case basis. But at the end of the day, if we're looking at the technicalities of driving, you need to, the earlier you learn the correct behaviors, the more you can install them. So if you learn a bad habit, I have to uninstall the bad habit, and then I have to install my new habit, and then that's got to grind into your muscle memory. And I have procedures for a reason, and I get people to follow them for a reason, because when you're driving in that kind of heavy fog, I have a process for changing lanes. And I've done that same process so long, and I've taught that same process to so many people, that when there's heavy fog, I follow my procedure, because I know my procedure ticks every box of safety. And therefore, I don't need to worry. I don't have to second guess myself. I don't have to have doubt. I just have to make sure when I look, I'm actually seeing what I'm looking at, and then I'm all good. Anyway, we're going to jump away. So remember to hit that subscribe button. Please put a comment down below. I'm struggling to get comments, so I don't care what the comment is. Like it, not like it, just, you know, let me know. If you want a particular episode, put it down below in the comment section, and I'll make the episode for you, all right? Anyway, guys, till next time, stay calm, pay attention, and keep safe. My name's Jeremy from Level Up Roadcraft in the Blue Mountains. See you next time.